So if you want, I can read off the rest of your notes. Honestly, that was amazing. I'll tell you, for me, I started reading the description, and the description goes as such. The most important task for any community is raising the next generation. So I stop there, I reflect on the next generation. I don't know, when you reflect, do you reflect with optimism? Do you reflect with pessimism? Do you reflect on the eye of your own children? Or do you remember that there are children in this world that need the help too, across international borders? And then it says, as parents, our children are one of the greatest concerns, and as a community, we know that the future of Islam depends on them. So I am not a parent, so I am done with my speech. I'm just kidding. So I am utterly not qualified to be here today and to tell the parents how. So in fact, I really am, when you come up here, you're doing an amazing job to kind of talk about how and what to work on. Though I'll tell you the perspective that I can come from, and I think the only reason I'm in this program really is the fact that, again, my family was, known because of the murders in Chapel Hill, where Diya, Yusra, and Razan were essentially, for all of us in this room, were the children, were the brothers, were the siblings that we saw in ourselves and in our own families. And resort to the parents. Go to my mom, go to my dad, go to Dr. Abu Salha, Khata Amira. They're the ones that raised the martyrs. I was raised by them as well. They guarded me, they protected me, they taught me right from wrong. And I don't know. It leaves me thinking, though, it says as parents. So it reminds me of those who lost their children. It reminds me of those who might have not even ever become parents, who might have tried. So in a sense, it's just such a happy paragraph. As parents, we care for our children, but isn't there so much to worry about? And then in this mood, I started writing down all the things that I felt like I should talk to the parents about. All the things that you guys are doing wrong. But it is also fair to say that you are at this conference. You are learning. You are trying. You are probably the top 1%, if not more, of the parents in this community. But let's not forget that when we talk about our children, we're talking about our children, if we have them, but we're talking about children across countries and across a time where it's difficult. We live in a global environment. We can't act like we don't. And it really brings it full circle when I think of all the things that we tell our children. You tell your children, go to med school, become an engineer, right? Live in a world as if we're not in a global world where there's global hurt and there's things going on beyond our borders. We're almost taught to care for our own selves. But how do we juxtapose that to the fact that the next time we look at the TV, there's somebody dying and somebody hungry? What about the advice the parents give about being honest, being truthful? Are you? About be kind, be confident, treat others with respect. Have you? You are basically the average of the closest of your 5 friends. So look to your closest 5 friends. That's a good idea of who you are. For children growing up, they have nothing but the parents to look forward to look up to learn from. So when you tell them, be kind, be loving, do the right thing when it is hard to do so, I think it's up to you to do that first, because they absolutely will not learn any other way. Spend time with them. And actually, this reminds me of this YouTube video I saw on, I think it was Facebook. A little girl comes to her father and says, "Father, how much do you make an hour?" The father's kind of annoyed, why are you asking me this question? She says again, "Father, how much do you make an hour?" And let's say he makes $50 an hour. She goes into her room, and all she can think about is how she can come up with $50 so she can pay her father, so her father can spend an hour with her. Don't forget why you work and for who you work. And don't forget who sustains. It is not by your work, by your effort that you're going out and bringing in the rizq, the sustenance. God provides that. Consider that when you make that decision of halal versus haram income, whether compromising on that is even something you should consider, because if there are more commas, it means it's more, right? But have you forgot the concept of barakah? One of the scariest hadiths that I remember hearing, and it scares me to this day, and I don't even know the exact hadith, but the idea is it goes as such. If your food is haram, if your clothes is haram, if your sustenance is haram, why is Allah going to answer your dua? To me, that scares me because the dua is the strongest tool that the believer has in this world. And to think that many of us are putting our children in a position to where they're, without their choice, their income is haram. The decisions they make are not what they are teaching of us. And let's talk about one more thing. Let's talk about the conflict within the parents. The relationship you have with your wife or you have with your husband is the relationship your children are basing all relationships on. If you treat your wife with respect, if you humble yourself, if you reduce your ego and treat her with respect, if you look to your husband for leadership, take his advice, be kind to him, those are the things the children are going to learn from their parents. And lastly, #MeToo is a hashtag that went viral not too long ago, within a couple days. Do you know what Me Too is about? I know the younger folks do. I see some older folks shaking their heads. Yeah, you're on Facebook. And actually, just an interesting fact as to why children are not on Facebook, it is because their parents are on Facebook, so they go to the next social media, which is like Instagram. This is like a true story. This is for real. Because I'm always trying to figure out why are kids not on Facebook. They're like, well, our parents are on Facebook. So, there you go. I taught something beneficial today. Alhamdulillah. Huh? I'm on Instagram as well. Oh, he's on Instagram. So is Snapchat. It keeps on going. WhatsApp. That's for the international fobs, actually. That's not the locals. But Me Too is actually quite a sad, and it's not even a thing a Muslim started, but the status goes, if you have been a victim of sexual assault or sexual harassment, share saying Me Too, #MeToo. What happened is brought to the surface this dialogue, this conversation of who in our community has been sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. Honestly, I don't know a single girl that hasn't had an experience like that. And honestly, I've been hearing it worse from the Muslim side of things than the non-Muslim side of things. I've been hearing it worse from those who, I don't know, we act like we have some kind of a way to keep our young men kind of civilized and we make marriage hard, so I don't know, maybe we should make marriage easy. That's something I've always been working on, but we make it hard, we make it difficult, we don't even talk about this. But ultimately, we don't give an opportunity for the women to even feel like when they have had something like this happen, they can approach somebody and discuss it. And sometimes you don't even have anything to discuss. Have you walked through the streets of Egypt as a girl? I'm sorry, not to pick on Egypt. Any country, Pakistan, Syria. Have you walked through that country as a girl? Streets of New York? Have you walked through it as a girl? The idea is it happens and it's disgusting. And this is the environment the children live in, they grow up in. And if at home we're forcing them to do things that they don't even understand, we're not leaving a role model for them to even look up to. And we're feeding them, all right, I'm done, bro. You tell me I'm done, I'm just kidding. And we're feeding them with the haram. And we're not being there for them like we should be. I worry about the next generation. And that's what today's about. And I worry about the generation of kids who are in Syria who have fled their home and haven't received education for 5 years. I worry about the inner city kids who aren't receiving good education in the schools they have here. I worry about the kids with parents who are conflicting, who can't deal with it, and to the orphans and to everybody else. And I don't know, man, at the end of the day, just consider that. Remember that when you're nurturing your child. You're nurturing your child for a global world, for a global vision. And when they say they want to do something global, when they want to do something big, please accept the fact that they're living in a world that's very different than yours. Modern day USA is not Pakistan, is not India, is not Syria, is not Egypt. Modern day USA is a global country with global reach, and we have a global purpose, and we're put here on the earth for it. I ask you to excuse any of my shortcomings. Again, not a parent, so I thought I'd come out here and blabber on about parents, but again, I love you guys for all you do for us, for the community you've established for us, for being good role models for us, for being there for us. And that's just the politically solid way to end by thanking all the parents as well. So thank you for your time.